Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. First of all, as usual, I want to start by saying thank you to everyone that has subscribed, liked and sent some love and encouragement. I appreciate you guys. You guys actually encourage me to keep making these videos, so thank you guys so much. Alright, so today I'm coming to you guys about the topic of potential. So first up, as usual, I'm going to do a quick Google search, and I'll insert it in the bottom part here. So potential is pretty much having or showing the capacity to develop into something in the future. So having or showing the capacity to develop into something in the future. So obviously guys, we know that it's to do with your future, it's to do with a capacity, to do with a gift or something that you hold, that you possess, that you can become in the future. So it might be something that you've desired all your life, or something that you've put in your heart, or had like a just when you're younger and then you think, oh, when I get older I want to be this, I want to be that. That's potential. The first time I ever heard about the word potential was in a subject in high school called Children, Family and Community, and in that subject it pretty much used a theory. So it was called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It was like a diagram. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it pretty much I'm going to insert a diagram here so we can see what it is. So there somewhere. And the diagram pretty much talked about the fact that like every human being has a requirement, has a set of needs that have to be met in order to feel fulfilled. So obviously, like once I've inserted the diagram right here, I want to go through each part of the diagram. So the first part, like the first part of the pyramid, obviously talks about the fact that the first set of needs that each human being needs is the basic needs. So those are things like water, food, warmth, rest, sleep. So these are things that are obviously very important for us. Like these are basic needs that we need to survive, to be alive, And then when we move up the pyramid, the next set of basic needs are to do with safety and security. So feeling that you're safe, feeling that you're secure. And then as we move up again to the next pyramid, it talks about the need to feel like you belong, to feel loved, having your friends, having your family, that being a need as well, because it's important that we feel loved, we have friends. We're not like, obviously it's important that we have friends, but fellowshipping, all that kind of thing, like it's obviously important, because if we don't feel loved, if we don't feel like we belong somewhere, we usually find it difficult to relate to people, socialize, even that kind of thing. So that's one of the other needs as well. And then as we moved up to the next one, it talked about self-esteem needs. So like self-worth, self-accomplishments, things that we desire to achieve, things that are important to us, to feel like secure in ourselves, like within ourselves. At the top of the pyramid pretty much was called the self-actualization, or self-actualization. Pretty much talks about us fulfilling our full potential and becoming everything that we want to become in this world. So like it can be creative, it can be like it can be expressed through a creative form, but just the matter of the fact is that you fulfill everything that you've ever wanted to fulfill on this earth. So yeah, so that was pretty much the first time I've ever learned about potential. If one need is lacking, a lot of the time other areas will be lacking as well. So let's say, for example, some of us might not feel secure in ourselves, or we might have super low self-esteem, or we might have like really low self-worth, that kind of thing, and that sometimes will hinder us or will hold us back from actually achieving things that we want to achieve, or becoming the things that we want to become. And so it's so important that we understand that if that is a problem, it needs to be worked on, it needs to be fixed. Just because sometimes we haven't had all those things met in our lives does not actually mean that we cannot reach our full potential. We have to look for ways that we can reach our full potential. Like I don't want to get old and I haven't achieved everything that I want to achieve, because of all these excuses that we might all have. We don't want that, because when we get old and then we look back and we're going to be like, what have we achieved with our lives? What things have we actually done in our lives that will make us feel like we've actually, we'll feel fulfilled, feel like, okay, I've lived a life where I've done everything that I wanted to do. You want to feel like that. You want to feel like you've lived your life, you're happy with everything, the way things turned out. Of course, things might not be perfect along the way, but as long as you've done as much as you can, done everything, had all your dreams that you've ever had, done all those things, like achieved everything that you've ever had in your heart to do, you'll feel way more fulfilled. So one way I know that we are able to actually achieve our full potential is because of the fact that the Bible verse Philippians chapter 4:13, it tells me that I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. If that's all things, like if I can do all things, it means everything. So whatever potential I haven't tapped into yet, or whatever dreams or desires, anything that I want to do, whatever I haven't done it, I am able to do it. It's easy to say it, it's easy to say the verses, but I can do all things through, but actually beginning to actually do those things is the hard part, because you know that you can do it all, but how are you going to achieve it? How are you actually going to do it? Another verse as well, in Genesis chapter 11 verse 6, it talked about it said, and nothing that they propose to do will be impossible for them. So God actually tells us that nothing that we actually put our minds and we propose to do, like we decide in our hearts that we're going to do, will be impossible for us, because it is actually something that it's a nature that God has put in us, that we are able to achieve whatever it is that we want to do. Like everything, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Whatever it is that we want to do, we can actually achieve. But the problem is that a lot of the time, because we don't know what steps to take, or because not even only about steps, but because of everything, all the needs that might not have been met, we usually, we might look down on ourselves and we might think, oh, I can't do it, or I'm not going to be able to do that, how am I going to do that, look at this, look at that. Because of all that, we're not able to reach our potential. So this year for me, I've decided, what, I'm gonna make sure that I reach my full potential. Everything that I've ever wanted to do, everything that I feel like God has put in my heart to do, I have to do it. I have to do it. And I want you guys to come on this growth journey with me, and tap into your potential as well. Begin to do the things that you guys love doing. Begin to actually live out your dream. Begin to do everything that you've ever wanted to do, because you don't want to get old and you haven't done everything that you want to do. You don't want that, because you don't want to regret it. So yeah, guys, so basically these are steps that I have started taking, or I have been taking ever since I started this journey. I started taking these steps to actually help me to begin to tap into my full potential and do everything that I want to do. And I hope that I have 5 things that I'm going to list out, and I hope that they're helpful. And if you guys are trying to do that as well, you're trying to tap into your potential and begin to do everything that you've ever wanted to do in your life, hopefully these steps work and you can use them if you like. And then hopefully they're helpful. So yeah, let's get into the steps, guys. So number 1, I started by actually getting to know me. So I started by doing a little search of who am I, who is Harriet, what is she all about, what is she like, what does she dislike, what are the things that make her feel fulfilled, what are the things that make her feel happy, makes her feel excited, what is that stuff. So I began to write all those things down so that I got to know who I am and the things that I like to do. It's so important that we know who we are. If we know who we are, we know the things that we're going to be spending our time doing. We know how we want to be spending our time. We know how we want to be, the kind of things we want to involve ourselves with, and the roles that we want to be doing, because we know the kind of things we like. If we don't like them, obviously we're not gonna be involved in them. We're not gonna be trying to do them at all. Step number 2 was doing some research about certain roles, or things that you could do with the attributes and the qualities that you have, like the things that you dislike, your strengths, your weaknesses. How can you now implement them in something that needs to be done, or based on the dreams or the desires that you might have? Because what I realize is everything that we have in our minds, like our imagination, things that we imagine, things that we have in our hearts, are actually a kind of like a representation of things that we could actually become. Like whatever we have in our hearts, whatever we imagine, what if I became this, or what if I did this, I wonder if I could do this. That kind of talk is actually something that actually could push you to reach your full potential if you begin to to actually study those thoughts, study those things that get dropped in your heart, in your mind. If you begin to study those things, you begin to see, okay, you know what, like, because I think the problem is, I feel like the issue with us is that sometimes we don't grow up in a household where we're encouraged to actually like, get excited about the things that we think about, get excited about the things that are in our hearts, are in our minds. We're not encouraged to do that. And so because of that, when these things come up, and also because of, like, how we were talking about before, the needs, that pyramid, because of sometimes those needs not being met with our self-esteem, we might have our low self-esteem, or that, whatever it is, it pushes those thoughts away, as in, like, to say, oh, bro, how would I even be able to do that? I can't do that. Like, what the heck, how would I be able to do that? And then you just kind of, like, you put it to the side of it, because you're like, nah, that's not real. Like, how would that happen? Like, how could I even do that? And then you're just like, nah. But the point is that when you begin to actually think about those things, every imagination that you have, beginning to actually, tap into those imaginations, because those are things that sometimes God puts in your heart, to actually look at and be like, oh, what if you actually did this? What if you became this? So yeah, so that's something you can begin to do as well. That's part of your research. That can be part of your research. Ask questions, ask people questions about their roles, their tasks, what it involves, things that you could be doing, things that you think you would enjoy, and then begin to actually work on planning how you want to achieve those things. And then the third thing is to take action. So obviously once you've discovered your qualities, your attributes, and now you've done a bit of research as well as to find out things that you could be doing, roles that you could be taking part in, now you can start to take action and begin to work at it, because obviously if you're not going to take any action, your potential will just be there and it will be untapped, and nobody will say anything about it. You won't do nothing about it, but it will just be there. It will be there because you're not using it. And who's achieving anything out of this? Are you going to achieve anything from not using your potential? No, you're not. Is your potential going to achieve anything from you not using it? No, it's not. So it's just going to be sitting there. You may as well use it. You may as well actually do something about your potential, so actually take that action. And obviously the first two steps are already kind of part of taking action and beginning to work out, understand what you're all about. And then taking that action means writing out a plan, write out a whole list of things, write out a whole how you're going to achieve it. How do you want to achieve this goal or this dream? The potential that you have, that now you see, oh, I think I could do this. Now you've discovered, I think I could do this. How can you achieve that now? Write out a plan, because God tells us that we have to write the vision clear. We have to make the vision clear, write it out, so that whoever reads it will run with it. And obviously once we write it out, we're the ones that are going to be reading it. The more we read it, the more we're going to run with it, the more we're going to decide we're going to do that thing, So that's why it's so important that we write out whatever it is that we want to do. Write out a plan, how you're going to achieve that thing that you want to do. That, that potential that that you can see, that you hold in your mind, in your heart. And so you write it out, you write everything. How am I going to do this step by step? And then you begin to follow those steps, So now that you've written out everything step by step, and now you want to begin to work at it, because that's the biggest thing. If you're not going to work at it, it's not going to happen. It's just going to continue to be that potential will continue to stay there, because it needs work. It needs, any good thing that we do in our lives, anything that's good needs work. And that is a principle. If we're not going to work at anything, we're not going to achieve nothing, So that's pretty much the last step 5, which is working at it, putting all your heart and your effort into it, because you want to make sure that you're achieving this dream. You want to make sure that you get this thing done. Why? Because you don't want to get old and then you haven't fulfilled everything you want to fulfill. That's quiet. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure you fulfill everything that you've ever had in your heart, or whatever gifts, whatever. Sometimes some people are amazing singers, but then because of maybe low self-esteem, or because of that need of belongingness and love, and not having received that when they were younger, they find it difficult to stand in front of people and sing, but their voice is amazing. So then it's like you're really, that potential that is there is not tapped into and it's not being used. So yeah, so guys, that's the 5 steps. I mean, I hope they're helpful. That's the things that I'm using for myself to make sure that I'm achieving everything that I want to achieve. Obviously guys, like I said before, I want you guys to come on this growth journey with me. I want you guys to like know that everything, like I want us all to be like, everything that we want to achieve in the coming years, we must achieve. Everything that we want to do, we must do. Whatever we put in our hearts, whatever God puts in our hearts to do, or whatever imaginations that come our way, we have to do. Why? Because you don't want to get old and you haven't achieved everything you want to do. You want to feel fulfilled. Okay, so yeah guys, that comes to the end of the video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked it, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe as well. That's pretty much it guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.